we are talking about the Mariners game. Unfortunately, the Mariners did just lose the game today. 4-3 to the Toronto Blue Jays. Mariners opened up the scoring with Josh Naylor single on top of the first. On a ground ball to right fielder Addison Barger to score Julio Rodriguez. Then we moved on, bottom of the first. We're just going to look at the scoring stuff. Dalton Varsho singled to score Vlad. Okay. Julio homers, top third, Seattle 2, Toronto 1. Cal hits number 65 in the top of the fifth, 3-1, and then George Springer homers to make it 4-3, and that's it. The Mariners today had 3 runs on 8 hits, 2 homers, 16 total bases. Blue Jays had 10 hits, 4 runs, 13 total bases, 1 home run. Nobody had an error. Both teams left 7 on base, and it was an unfortunate day at the office for the Mariners. Julio today 2 for 5, 2 runs, a home run, a ribby, and a strikeout. Played really well. Cal 1 for 3, a ribby, a run, and a walk, 1 strikeout. Played well. Naylor 1 for 3, walk, ribby. Polanco 1 for 4, played okay. Randy Arozarena 1 for 4 with a strikeout. Eugenio Suarez 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. JT Crawford 1 for 3, not great. Leo Rivas 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Victor Robles walked twice, 1 for 1. Dom Canzone came in and struck out for Victor Robles in the ninth. And then Julio, unfortunately, at the end of the ninth inning, struck out to end it. And that unfortunately is where we are. As the Mariners will not make their first World Series. The Mariners look to make their first World Series this season. Literally their first World Series. They were founded in 1977 along with the Toronto Blue Jays. Unfortunately, the Toronto Blue Jays and Seattle Mariners have had much different paths here as the Mariners did not have any success until their 15th season. Took until their 19th season to even make the playoffs for the first time, and that was very unfortunate. The Blue Jays won the World Series in 92 and 93, and are going to their first World Series since 1993. The Blue Jays probably could have gone to the World Series in 94, depending on how things had played out with the strike, but unfortunately the strike was a thing that happened in 94. Today's issues for the Mariners were essentially coming down to the same thing that happened all season. The Mariners unfortunately were unable to get runs with runners in scoring positions. They left 7 on base today. 7 on base is a few too many on base. But with runners in scoring position today, the team went 1 for 7, whereas the Blue Jays went 2 for 6. 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position and leaving 7 in place is not great. Julio Rodriguez did round into a double play, and unfortunately also struck out. But I don't believe Julio Rodriguez is the reason we lost this game. Julio played incredibly well. Julio and Cal played very well in this postseason along with Polanco. George Kirby, 4 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 run, it was earned, he walked 1 and struck out 3. He got pulled for the third time through the order for Brian Whoop. 2 hits, 2 runs, both of them earned, walked 2, struck out 2. He played okay. Bizzardo came in 2/3 of an inning, relieving Woo, and unfortunately giving up that 3-run homer that proved to be the deciding factor in this game. And then Andres Munoz came in, gave up 2 hits, and that was it. But he has a 0.0 ERA throughout the playoffs. Andres Munoz played incredibly well. Overall, the Mariners in the playoffs played well in some aspects and poorly in others. The Mariners played the maximum number of games, 5 in the ALCS and 7 in the ALCS. For the rounds they've made. And each extra game beyond the 3 and beyond the 4, beyond the minimum of 7 games they need to play, tax the bullpen, tax starters, tax Cal. Cal Raleigh today did hit his 65th home run combined between the regular and postseason. There will be no more baseball until Friday, as the Seattle Mariners and Toronto Blue Jays had this 7-game series that went really epic and was awesome. And unfortunately, for the Blue Jays, I know it's the same thing if we won as well. For the Mariners, there's literally an entire week off for the Dodgers, and because the Dodgers have a week off, there's not much more that either team can do. It's literally just sit there and wait for the Dodgers, and unfortunately, the Blue Jays I do think are a weaker team than the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are going to have a very easy time and walk to their second World Series win in a row. Dodgers are obviously the highest payroll team in the majors, so that's something to think about with that. With the Dodgers having that, the Blue Jays have a decent payroll as well. The Blue Jays have not made a World Series since '93. This is their first time back since then. And with that, I do think that they're going to be very hungry. But I also think Ohtani's going to be extremely hungry, knowing that he is going to be able to go ahead and what's it called? Go ahead and actually pitch and hit in the first. Well, I'll have to check out why that's happening in a second. I don't know why there's an echo, so you'll have to give me a second. Let me check something. Audio. Add source. No. Video capture device 1. No. Wait, what? Device. Hello. Okay. That should sound better. I just gotta hit the button. Okay. That should be working better. No, I don't have my stream open on another device. I think it was just the echo was from the microphone. So the Mariners here are unfortunately eliminated. Now, a few things about the Mariners season this season. The Mariners at one point were not likely to make the playoffs at all. They went 18-6 in September, and it's like reverb? Huh? I don't know. That's really weird. That is really weird that that's happening. Maybe. Where's the settings button? All right, let's try that. Let's try that and see what happens with that. That might have helped because I changed some things. So yeah. A few things to look into all of those things because of the way that the world is going. The Mariners unfortunately did have that problem this season. Where they played horribly during several stretches, and then they played incredibly well during several stretches. And each of those stretches added up to the Mariners getting a 90-win season. The Mariners, unfortunately, over the course of the last few years have been well known to have 87 to 90-win seasons and miss the playoffs at certain points. Unfortunately, last season they missed the playoffs by a game. And this season they also missed the playoffs by basically a game. And with that was something where we had to go ahead and think about the way that things were going to go about next season. With that, it's one of those things where It's one of those things where you've got to think about the way that the Mariners have been built. The Mariners have been built as a team that strikes the ball, strikes out, or gets on base via the walk, and then hits the home run. And with that, unfortunately, the Mariners are not going to be a team that's built well enough to be a consistent team. And because of that, yes, the 90 wins are great. The home runs help during the regular season. And it can get you to a championship series. But unfortunately, I do not believe that it can get you to the American League, or get you to a win in the American Championship Series. There are a few positions of need for the Mariners. One thing is that Josh Naylor is not going to be here next season unless a contract is agreed to with him. Josh Naylor is a free agent after this season, and yes, he played incredibly well for the Mariners down the stretch. He was the biggest trade deadline acquisition for the Mariners. And I do believe he should be the first baseman of the future. Unfortunately, I don't know if ownership or Josh Naylor will be able to make that happen. Because of that, you have to think about the way things might happen over the next few months to years with that. The Mariners do not have a first baseman in the system. Mariners do have a position of need at backup catcher, unless Harry Ford proves that he will be able to be the backup catcher for Cal. I do believe that Harry Ford coming up and being in the majors for the postseason run is very good for his development, and it will help him next year. I also think that Harry Ford is going to potentially be in the rotation next year, because, or not in the rotation, in the rotation for DH next year, as well as potentially a few spot starts here at first base, but mostly just backup catcher and DH. The Mariners have pretty much never employed a full-time DH, very frequently, actually since 2020, essentially, since Tom Murphy came. Or 2022, since Tom Murphy and Cal were both here at the same time. They've employed the idea of just having two catchers and rotating them between the DH spot and the catcher spot, and that's worked pretty well. Only a few times they actually lost the designated hitter spot. But I could see Jorge Polanco returning to the Mariners as the full-time DH, and Leo Rivas potentially being at second base, though he did show that he is a bit of an offensive liability. And unfortunately, as an offensive liability at second base, you do not want that. You do not want to have offensive liabilities on your baseball team, because when that happens, you end up with an issue like we had this season, where we had people batting under 100 during the entirety of the playoffs, and that's not going to work. When that doesn't work, obviously you're losing, and it's not great. And as you lose, you unfortunately, as you're losing, unfortunately, you have to deal with that situation. And the Mariners unfortunately did lose Game 7 today. Losing Game 7, I think, is not the worst thing in the world. Simply because Game 7 is one of those games where you have to look in and say to yourself, what could I have done different? What could I have done different? From a team perspective, what could Dan Wilson have done different? What could the rotation have done different? Had Brian Wu not been injured in his last start of the season, how do things go different? How do things go different if the Mariners don't end up winning Game 5 of the ALDS? How do things go different if the Mariners win the ALDS before Game 5? How do things go different if the Mariners manage to win Game 6? How is it different if the Mariners don't have to use Logan Gilbert and Luis Castillo out of the bullpen in Game 5 of the ALDS? Obviously, those were moves that you have to make, because if you don't make those moves, you pretty much are punting on the game. You can't punt on a winner-take-all game. That's one of those things that you just straight up cannot do, and unfortunately, it does affect the rest of the games, and as it affects the rest of the games, it affects the rest of the rotation had, and because of that, the Mariners had worse performances from the rotation. And with the worst performances from the rotation, you end up having just things that you don't want to handle, and you don't want to deal with because of that. You end up having to tax your bullpen. Andres Munoz had one of the most amazing playoff runs I've ever seen from a relief pitcher. He didn't give up a hit in his first 23 batters faced. He gave up 2, and then he got out of the ninth, out of the bottom of the 8th, and gave the Mariners a chance
to win in the top of the ninth. Obviously, either he or probably Bizzardo or Brax would have had to come in for the bottom of the ninth, but just giving the team a chance is absolutely what we asked for, and we got what we needed. So thank you for tuning in. This has been today's Mariners Recap. It will remain up on the channel. I appreciate all of you.